Hey, it's Mike Draper with AWC TV, and we thought we'd do something a little bit different here today, kind of have a fireside chat with Josh Sorrell. He's a technical rescue fireman here locally, and what we thought would be interesting is, many of you know, the OSHA 1910 standard contains verbiage in there that says that if you're going to have a person in a rope descent system, a suspended scaffolding, or anywhere where they're going to need fall protection, there has to be an emergency rescue plan. And so I thought it'd be kind of interesting to interview somebody that would be coming to get you if you landed in that position. So Josh, thanks for being with us today. We really appreciate you taking some time and kind of explaining this from a rescue person's point of view.
Mm-hmm. Well, what are some things that you would like to know exactly?
Yeah. So one of the things that always comes up is with this emergency rescue plan, a lot of people throughout the nation really rely on the fire department as their rescue plan. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that in and of itself. But what I'd like to talk about is, let's just say a guy is on let's just call it a 40-story building. And let's just say his main line is severed. With the rope descent system, we use two lines. So he's got his main line that he's riding, he's got a backup line for his safety. So the main line severs, he's hanging there by his safety, maybe he's back attached to his harness, and somebody goes to the roof, they see this situation, and they call 911. What are some of the steps or processes that that person, even calling 911, should have in mind when they're going to call you?
Okay, well, there's a lot of factors involved there too, and as you mentioned, that OSHA standard, you know, there's a 15-minute time frame here, and a lot of times, many times, rescue 911 is just not going to be able to make it there within that 15 minutes or be able to get that person on the ground in that 15 minutes. You know, we have anywhere from a response from 2 minutes to 10 minutes. It just depends on the weather. I mean, if it's slick out and it's snowing, or if it's windy, or whatever the case, hopefully you don't have people on the side of a building when it's snowing or anything like that, but it could be. It could be that they were on another call or another fire or something like that. So there's a variety of factors that make the time frame a little longer or shorter. So that's one thing. But one of the things that I might suggest to the people in your trades is that make sure that when they do have to call 911, that they are recognizing immediately that it is an emergency. And also, there's a lot of things. Make sure that they stay on the line until the dispatcher tells them to hang up. Make sure they have all the information, such as, you know, the location of the victim, you know, possible floor that they're on, what side of the building that they possibly will be on, and a lot of different things like that. So the more information they can give the dispatcher, as long as they stay on the phone until the dispatcher tells them to hang up, it's going to make it easier for the incident commander to make some assessments before he even gets to the scene. But once they get there, there's going to be a lot of things that a firefighter is going to want to find out. You know, even though they may have that information from dispatch, they're still going to try and figure out, okay, you know, what floor are they on? How can I get there? You know, because I need to get to the roof. I need people down here. So when they come down here, so you're going to have plenty of apparatus and plenty of resources as far as rope and rigging, all kinds of things like that.
That's a great point. So, you know, a lot of people may even not be thinking about it from this standpoint. So they may think, okay, well, the fire department's here, he's up there, he needs rescued, and you're just going to be able to immediately run in there and do that thing. But there's a process that's got to take place. What are some things that could detour, or not detour, but delay you getting him down in a timely manner once you get to the building?
Well, a lot of times when we get to the building, fire departments all over the country are very good about pre-planning buildings. Our department is as well. We try to get as many of the high-rises as well as other commercial buildings as we can, so that we are familiar with them. But when it comes to high-rise buildings, commercial buildings, there may be work going on that we didn't realize had just started. So they may have a door blocked off or something like that. So it can be very important or very helpful when we get there, if there's someone to meet us there and show us exactly how to get to the route the quickest way possible, if we need to get to not only the floor where that person may be hanging from, and also to the roof. Make sure that we're not going to run into a door that's chained off, or a stairway that's been roped off, or anything like that. But make sure that we have all that information while that we need while we're there too.
Yeah, something that's going on in the industry, and we're really trying to encourage more and more through safety classes and all this, is that a person really should be wearing a head device, a helmet of some sort, a rock climbing helmet or whatever, when they're descending these buildings. And you know, it needs more attention. It's not everybody's not doing it yet. But can you speak to how important it would be? I mean, is it easier to rescue a guy that is unconscious, or is it easier to rescue a guy that you can give some commands to and things like that?
Well, it's much easier if the person is conscious and calm, especially, and are able to respond to what we're talking about. Because especially if someone was if they're just hanging, they're able to self-rescue. You know, because we find that a lot of people who are in window washing trades and things like that, they're pretty well versed in ropes and rigging and things like that, and how to self-rescue, and they're very good at that. And so if they're conscious and they're able to do that, that's going to be extremely helpful. But in this case that you're talking about, where that line may be severed and they're just on their safety line, you know, also they're going to be a little bit amped up. So being able to respond to our commands, or being able to maybe maneuver themselves one way or another. You know, hey, can you come over to this window a little bit closer? Is there a way that you can swing over or something? That can be helpful. So, you know, having that helmet rule and those guidelines, it's not there just to sell helmets. You know, it's there for our personal safety.
Yeah. So if a guy was, what are some of the methods? So we see in the news a lot, maybe a suspended scaffolding goes out from underneath somebody, and a safety line caught them, or it could be a mainline sever and a rope descent system. But what we see in the news a lot is break the window, and it seems like the person is pulled in from a rescue standpoint. Is that the only option, or is that just one of the options that you would have when you get to a building?
Yeah, that's just one of the options. I mean, we could make this episode, we could talk all day long about all different factors that we can run into. You know, breaking a window, we're not in the business to destroy property or anything like that. So, you know, that may be a worst case scenario where we had to break a window or take a window out, because then you have to think about what's going on underneath. You know, we have crews underneath and people that maybe not be able to hear us, or somebody that walks out of the building as all this glass is crashing down or a window crashes down. So, you know, that we're just making the situation maybe a little bit more dangerous when we attempt to do something if a window doesn't come out or open freely. But if we have to, we have to, you know, with that type of situation. So, yeah, there are other options where, you know, you can bring somebody down from the roof, you know, and you know, a lot of your window washers are trained where they may have to be tied into a pick-off strap or something like that, and then lowered down on the rescuer's line while keeping their safety hooked up as well. So there's so many different ways of rescuing somebody, and there's so many different factors to think about too, because if somebody was on a scaffold, you know, and they didn't receive a static drop or something like that, if they're conscious and they're calm and it's just a motor that stopped on a scaffold and they're fine, you may have to think about, you know, maybe it's a colder day, you know, we got to think about their health in that way. But it does amplify the situation if they're hanging from a harness, especially from that dorsal connection on their harness, because then you got to think about suspension trauma and things like that.
Yeah. So just a lot of considerations. We train and teach in the window cleaning industry all the time. You know, self-rescue techniques, pick rescue, all these different things. Is that something you would advocate to the industry to continue doing, continue to being as good, as well trained as you possibly could be?
100%, 100%. Because as I mentioned earlier, you know, when a victim is conscious, but if they're well versed in the ropes and rigging and knowing how to self-rescue and knowing what to expect, that kind of helps them be a little more calm if that situation were to arise. But it also, you know, if everyone on their crew is well versed and understands, it also helps them to understand we've got a problem here. There's an actual emergency going on here, you know, because we kind of joked about off camera. A lot of times in the trades, when somebody does something or runs into a situation, we tend to take that opportunity as to mess with them a little bit. So you don't want to, you know, be looking up at somebody, see that somebody's stuck from their harness, say, hey, how's the weather? Or up there or something like that. Recognize it's a real emergency that they need to get down as soon as possible, because even though somebody may be fine and they feel fine, if they're hanging from a harness, you know, within that 15-minute period, they could be unconscious. They could be in full rest by the time that 15 minutes window is closed. So they need to get down as soon as possible.
Yeah. Josh, I really appreciate you being on today. It really reemphasizes the things that we train in the industry. It's just nice to get a perspective from the guy that's coming to get you off the building. And it sounds like that perspective is very similar to what we're training and saying all the time is, hey, you need a plan. You need a rescue plan. You need to train. Wear your helmet. Have all these things in place. And so it's just nice to get all that reinforced from the guy that's coming to rescue you. So I appreciate you being on board.
All right, very good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Stay tuned for our next episode of AWC TV by following us on YouTube, Facebook, or our website, awcmag.com.